Hi, I'm Dr. Alex Lloyd, and I'm here today with one of my wonderful, beautiful belief mapping clients to talk about belief mapping, Tuyen Tunu. And I've been working with Tuyen for a few weeks now. That's all, a few weeks. And she volunteered to do this interview. So, Tuyen, welcome and thank you for being willing to share your experiences.
Thank you, Dr. Alex, for the wonderful opportunity. I'm very honored and very grateful for this.
Well, I'm very grateful. And why don't we start with just, in like 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, just give them some idea who Tuyen is and where you come from and that sort of thing.
Yes, so I I was born in Vietnam. I grew up in Vietnam until I was about 19 years old. Then I moved to the US in 1982. Um, and I went to school here. I graduated at different universities in the States. Um, and during that time, I had several events happening in my life. I would say some unpleasant, some quite pleasant events that took place. And then after I graduated from Stony Brook University in New York, and
Yeah.
I was interviewed for a job in Normal, Illinois at Illinois State University. And I got a teaching position as a professor of
Oh,
piano.
yes.
And I've been teaching here for 16 years. And I decided it's time for me to retire and do something else.
So you're saying you left Vietnam in 1982?
Yes,
How old were you?
I was 19 at that time.
My goodness, you look like you're 45 now or 35. It's unbelievable that you're that old. I mean, I'm older than you are, but you look way young.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. You have given me permission on this call to share a little bit of your history, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to just share a few things that Tuyen shared with me on our very first telephone call or Zoom, because I think it's good to know the background of someone when you're trying to evaluate what they're saying to you. So she told me this the first time we talked a few weeks ago. I just asked her before we push record on this interview if it was okay to share this, and she said it was. Okay. So, Tuyen, when you started belief mapping, you had a great deal of trauma in your life from the very first. You had a birth trauma where that was just horrible. There was the epidural went wrong, and you were and everyone was screaming, and they thought that you were going to die, and all that sort of thing. So it started from the very first childbirth, but it's like it was your whole life. You had some horrible things happen to you when you were a young child. When you were 7 years old, you had a mental and emotional trauma that was devastating to you. Your father was shot to death. Um, did you didn't witness that, did you, Tuyen?
Luckily, fortunately, I did not witness that, but we
Good.
found out that he was shot the following day, and the whole night he was lying on the street with a mat over his body. So when we found out the following day, we took his lifeless body home, put it on the table, and my grandmother and my mother tried to clean his wound. He was shot, and the robbers blew his brain out. uh,
So it was
so
a robbery.
the robbery happened in Vietnam. He went out to buy newspaper, and he saw some thing happened to a driver that the robbers tried to shoot at the driver in front of him. So he just got out of he parked the car, got out of his car and just yelled, "Help, help." And the robbers turned around and shot him with M16 and
Oh
blew
my.
his brain out.
And you were 7 years old.
No, that was 1 month before my 12th birthday.
12th birthday. So that and the 7-year-old trauma were two different things.
Two different things.
Okay.
Yes.
And you had a miscarriage, and I know my wife and I hope when we got married, we wanted to have kids right off the bat. And after 6 years, Hope had 3 miscarriages. We didn't think we would ever have children. We ended up, God gave us a couple that we love dearly. One of them, George's birthday is today, actually.
Oh.
But the thing was that we found out, Thuyen, is most people don't understand miscarriages. They think because the baby wasn't born yet, it shouldn't be all that painful. But for us, it was devastating. So you struggled with that. You were put in jail and escaped Vietnam at rifle point, correct?
Yes, we tried to escape by boat. I believe that was when I was 14, 2 years after my father passed away. So
Okay.
we tried to escape by boat, and we actually were it was a planned escape, but it was not successful. So when the lid of the deck on the boat was open, we looked up, and that was at midnight. We looked up, and all I saw was like about 10, 12 rifles pointing at us. And the thought went through my mind, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, of course.
Then they pulled us up, and they took everything. So at that, on the same night, I saw that everything that my parents owned and my mother took with us, gold, money, everything, went down the drain
Wow.
overnight.
Oh,
So from living the life like a princess when my father was still alive to living a life like a dog without a home overnight. And then they put us in jail. So we were in jail. I was in jail for 9 months. Uh,
9 months.
9 months. And then the second time, it was only 1 month, but it was 10 times worse than the first time. So those are traumatic experience events.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you're an American citizen now, but and those of us who like grew up in this country, we think it's really horrible when the stock market goes down a little bit. We think it's really terrible when the economy is struggling and things are more expensive. But most of us in America have not been through anything like what you're saying you experienced growing up. And so to me, you're describing the high country of trauma, the worst types of trauma, that any one of these could dominate your life from then on. Let me go on. You had a tooth extraction that was traumatic because there was no numbing. They just yanked it, right? It just so if you're watching this, imagine having a tooth pulled, which maybe you've had done. I've had one tooth pulled, but imagine it happening with no numbing. The doctor just, getting the pliers in there, and you had a divorce that was an abusive divorce. It's just Thuyen, thing after thing after thing, and yet look at your smiling, glowing face in spite of all of that. So, could you share now your opinions of belief mapping? Has it helped you? Has it not? If so, how has it helped you? Just whatever you would like to share. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Before I started with belief mapping, I would say 4 years ago, I bought a book, your book, The Healing Codes. I don't know the reason why I bought the book at that time, but I bought it and I was very excited. And instead of reading from cover to cover, I glimpsed through a little bit the first and second chapters, and then I went right to the instruction how to do the healing codes. But then I said, no, I have to go back to this chapter and read more. So back and forth. And at that time, I was still working, so I was very busy, and I did not devote my time every day to doing the healing codes. But I remember it helped me, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because I did not understand with all these and no help in with the
Sure.
belief. So I also shared the book with a good friend of mine, and she was excited about that book, and she shared it with her friends as well. And I showed it to some of my students. I don't think that they were skeptical. And I gave them some truth-focused statements to work on that I printed out online. And I don't know whether they did it or not, but then fast forward 4 years later, after I retired from Illinois State, and I started having a health issue that did not, a skin issue that did not heal properly, and it got
Right.
worse and worse. And I consulted with several specialists, and that did not help the diagnosis. What they give me did not help. So I was desperate. So I tried different methods of like natural remedies that didn't help. Actually, it got worse. And one night, out of desperation, I prayed to God. I was crying, and I asked God to show me the direction, to please help me solve this issue. And I promised to God that I will use my experience to help others.
Ah, beautiful.
So then I stumbled on your book again. I pulled it out, the healing codes, and I thought, no, something. I wanted to work with the author of the book. So then I went online, I Googled, and I checked, and I found out I saw your website, and I read, and I contacted Cindy. But the first thing I have to say that I purchased 2 sessions with Johanna.
Yes. She's
Yeah,
an angel.
she is unbelievable.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
When I grow up, I want to be like her.
just her voice is
Yeah.
so soothing and so healing.
Yeah.
So then after I purchased 2 and I had 2 sessions with her, and then I said, this is not enough. So I contacted Cindy and asked and then I purchased the LT3 with Belief Mapping.
Right.
And I wanted to say that I started the first session with you in January, on January 25th.
Mhm.
And after doing the LT3 with belief mapping, I would say that it really changed my life. I am a different person now. It changed my life in the most profound way. You know, when people say, oh, miracles and here and there, and I believe in miracles. And I
Yeah.
read books about miracles and books that has some inspiring stories. But to me, LT3 and belief mapping is a miracle that God gave me,
Well,
you. And I'm just very grateful, and I can't thank you enough for helping me with this. When I first started belief mapping, I was so overwhelmed with so much information.
yeah. Right.
And being a lazy person myself, I
You
don't
don't
like
sound lazy to me. Go ahead.
I don't like to read much, but I love to read things about philosophy, religion, but not about like giving instruction what to do. I feel like, oh no, I feel retarded in a way. So then, but then I read, and you mentioned that just you don't have to read or watch all these videos, just focus on this and that. So I said, okay, so I'm going to just start with something very simple first.
Yeah.
And I would like to show you my first belief mapping wheel that I did.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Look at that.
And I did all by hand.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the first one with the center is my
Uh-huh.
health issue.
Uh-huh. Right.
And it was this long, and it took me a few hours because I kept filling in information. And then that was for the first week. The second week is success failure, and this is what I did for peace.
Oh, beautiful. Peace. Yeah.
It's in the middle.
Beautiful.
And then I also did one with anxiety.
Yes. Right. Yeah. The
And
biggest issue on the planet right now.
yes, and then relationship issues, and I had three belief mapping maps, like three that I made, one with myself, when relationship with others, and relationship with God. And boy, let me tell you, when I did the belief mapping and I worked on it by hand, writing down, it was like it took me a lot of courage to go back and
Yeah.
imagine and relive those moments in the
Yeah.
past and pull them out and be very honest with my
Right.
feelings and my emotions. What did I feel at
Right.
that moment? Um, and I'm telling you, it's not pleasant. It is not pleasant. But I feel like I had to do it. I feel I have to commit to doing this
Yeah.
for me to get better. And I I made a promise to God. I have to be serious with God.
Yeah.
And being serious meaning I have to jot down by hand rather than printing out the thing. So when I do like that, my mind is with it, my heart is with it. I'm putting everything right there on the piece of paper. And um, right from the first time that I did with the skin issues called seborrheic keratosis, I could feel, and before that, before I did the first time belief mapping, the anxiety, I lived with that anxiety every day, every moment. The first thing in the morning, I woke up anxiety, anxious. How can I face this person? How can I face public, going out to public? And when I did the first time belief mapping, I felt my anxiety coming down.
Uh,
I would say 50%. 50.
the first time.
Yes, yes. I am very, very reserved in times of grading,
Right.
rating. Sometimes, even if I feel like I could put +2, I usually go to, I just put +1 or
Yeah.
0.
Right. Right.
So that
Conservative.
yes, very conservative. And I went back and forth between rating on the scale from -10 to +10 to just very little, a little, moderately, a
Yeah.
whole lot or so,
Right. Yeah.
depending on how I feel at that particular moment.
Right. That's yeah, right. You can do that. So when you think back to how you felt before you did this and how you feel now, how much difference is there?
It's whole world difference. I feel like completely different person looking at myself with all these um, experiences, events that I went through in my life. I could look at them now and I feel at peace with it,
Ah, yes.
totally at peace with it. And sometimes even looking at, let's say, thinking of my father's death, I had a smile on my face, which is kind of like strange because before
Well, you
I was
believe
crying.
you'll see him again, right? You believe you'll
Yes,
see him again.
yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I believe that a part of him lived in me.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Okay, so the things that I mentioned at the first that you told me you were struggling with when we started, those have gotten better.
yes, yes.
Okay. Have they all gotten better?
They all got better. From
Okay.
time to time, I would say some days I feel anxiety coming up just a tad,
Mhm.
and I immediately did the belief mapping and LT3,
Right.
calm them down. So I'm doing them on a daily basis now,
Okay.
several times a day, because each time I do a longer sessions, I stay with each position a little longer, and I feel like it is a necessity. It's not like, oh, I have to do or so, but it is a necessity. It's supplement for my soul, my spirit.
Okay. Last question. People are going to see this video that are considering belief mapping, but is this hype? Is Alex exaggerating? Does it really not do much? I mean, it's a lot, it's expensive and money is very tight right now in America. People are really having to be careful what they spend money on, and they don't want to spend money on something that's not going to work. What would you say to someone who is in some sort of pain, or they're wanting to go to another level in their life, and they're searching and they're watching this, trying to determine, is this something I should try? What would you say to them?
I would like to say, if you can afford it, please, please, I'm begging you, give it a try. Give it a try and don't doubt. Don't doubt. Just go all in. In my case, I trust when I tried, before I tried, I trust. I trust, I say that, yes, I have hope that this will help me. And I would say the same to everyone who is watching this video, that please give it a try if you can afford, because you will come out a better person, a much healthier spiritually and physically.
Tuyen, thank you so much for being willing to share this. Some of these things they're hard things to share. These traumatic things from our past, those are hard things to share. So thank you for being willing to do that to help other people. And that's why you did it, is in the hope of helping other people. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Alex. I am just very grateful, again, grateful and honored to have this interview. And I hope it will help other people who are watching this video. And
Well, it helped me. So hopefully it'll help some others too. But thank you so very much.
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Alex.